got to jump in 20, but just
You have to jump at 12:30 or 11:30, right? Or
yes,
okay,
yes,
cool.
another call.
Cool. So let's just jump right in then. I'm sharing the screen, Kevin. I'm just sharing your outreach proposal on the screen
Okay.
here. And was there anything you wanted us to chat about before we got into it, or any additional like comments? I haven't read your new thoughts yet.
I had some, yeah, just updates there, and then a breakdown on the cost because it was a third of the way through June, so I gave a probably more detailed than it needed to be. But yeah, I don't have any other thoughts other than what's in there right
Uh,
now.
yeah, I think it's so me just jumping in. I think it's really good to go with the idea that like you and I are just gonna try to figure it out, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I don't
I, I
I
think
haven't
go ahead.
I haven't done a larger scale marketing before. And I'm just throwing that out there for whoever's here now and later watching this. But I'm excited to learn and give it my all in
Cool.
the capacity I can.
I think the one thing I wanted to say was I think your initial ticket is really good and it does like have some really good a really good framework within like the
Mm,
preparation, engagement, follow-up and conversation, contract negotiation, finalization. So these are kind of things that I think that are a great framework to
mhm.
like have in place and definitely to default to and definitely to remind me if I'm bugging you that this is a framework that we can focus on. But
Yeah,
but I really want to drill hard that like the best success I've had are meeting people who I think I want to hang out with and talk with anyway, and not really
yeah,
trying to sell, but realize that like we need to sustain ourselves and they can help us do that.
yeah, definitely. I had some like to-do notes. Yeah, so if you have a chance, maybe take a look today. I was hoping one of the things I want to do is like start to like assuming this is good with everyone else. We said the proposal overall, we you and I sort of established like a thrice weekly cadence, and we find a time and just some little things to
Okay,
kind of get it started.
cool. Does anybody else have any comments on this? Trey, Adonis, Christopher?
I thought it looked good. I gave it a brief look at, and everything made sense to me. So yeah, approved for my end.
Cool.
I do think it's overly the 3 months is probably overly aggressive. And I totally realize that, but I think maybe it's a good place to start, and then we kind of see where it's at after that. I don't know.
Yeah, and the 3 months is also kind of a time that we're gonna all be figuring out
Hmm.
the platform. I mean, we're putting out this version one in the beginning of July,
Yeah,
kind of through our best intentions and a lot of the experience that I have, XYZ. But I
yeah.
imagine that by what I'm starting to budget around is by September, we then think about the version two, and that should
Hmm.
optimize on what we've learned through
From
this.
version
So
one.
this is
Mhm.
like definitely a V1 outreach and a
Yes.
V1 everything. Everything kind of fits in that V1 category. Um, Cool. Well, I'm gonna if there's no other objections, I'm going to go ahead and just like initiate that June payment just to get things actually rock and rolling. Um,
Awesome.
and then Kevin, something else I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a repo for like a repository just for outreach in GitHub
Hmm.
that we can eventually upload whatever documents to or add new
Okay.
issues. Different things like that to it so that it's just centered on our work and that we can
Hmm.
kind of be pinged
Yes.
every time it does because I know it was hard for me to be pinged on this because I wasn't actually on this repo.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I'm
that's fine.
yeah, and so what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to transfer this issue to the new repo. I'll
Hmm.
add you on the new repo as an administrator, and I will ping you with an URL for this ticket now, so you can have that and a repo URL.
Okay, sounds good. Quick question on that. Do you want an invoice just for this, or are you good on that, or how do you like for June? How do you want to
Just
do it?
for preparing this.
Oh, because you said you were going to send the June
Oh,
payment
oh
for
yeah,
this.
don't. Oh yeah, don't worry about the invoice for that. I'll consider
Okay.
this like an invoice.
Okay, it has the breakdown on there, and then a bunch of other random notes that may or may not make sense. So maybe
That's totally
so.
cool. Yes.
That's what happens at 2 a.m. with coffee and when my brain is active. So
Yeah. Well, I wrote my crazy stuff at around 4 a.m. when I was
nice,
up with baby.
nice.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's good.
Those are the most productive
they
hours.
really are, though.
They really are. It's great.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Awesome.
So we're gonna initiate this. We're gonna get this going. Is there anything, just because this is what I do, is there anything that I can sorry, baby's crying in my hands right now. Is there anything that I know we start on June 10th, which I guess is next Monday, but anything
Yeah.
between now and next Monday that you want me to like check in on or put on my little list of
I
this is.
had a list. I had a little list for you in there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Just like some questions, some thoughts.
Okay.
And then I was very transparent about there are going to be a few days in June where I'm not going to be around. I have
Yeah.
some stuff. It's all listed there. Maybe we take it from there.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I thought I'd be like upfront, like I'm not going to be able to do anything these days. So I just gave you a fair prorated amount for June.
oh, great. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's totally fine. And I'm happy to work asynchronistically too. I love like
Yeah.
catching up on Mondays with everybody. But I'm also and it's nice to have a time that we meet. But like even like our 15-minute catch-ups could be like I just want to make sure that at least 3 times a week we're chatting and
Yeah,
some
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Or I'm just being
yeah.
flying blind, pun intended.
Yeah.
So
We're both
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, one thing I wanted to throw out, or like maybe I don't know if it's a question or a comment or what, but I think, and I guess I think it's going to be part of this, but I think it's maybe not addressed directly in the proposal, and I think it's probably going to involve a bunch of us. But I do think one thing that would be good to kind of do either in parallel with this or as part of this would be to have some conversations that are a little like more kind of core strategic. Um, both about like stuff like the branding of Equalify, but also just sort of fundamentally like what it is that we're selling. Because I think this is really a good kind of starter pack for kind of how we're going to operationalize it. But I think there's still a lot of questions about um, what we see as like the kind of unique selling points and kind of differentiators. And again, just sort of at a core level, what it is that we're like for like creating assets and stuff, what it is our key selling points are, and like whether we're pursuing app usage or whether we're pursuing API usage, and which one we see, and what those target audiences are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is gonna have to be fleshed out, and maybe one of the kind of roles that I see Kevin playing here is leading those discussions and like seeing what he has learned through this, um and then us reacting to that almost of like, actually this is what we're seeing. And so it's just I think that it's just good, and you might have even put this in the outreach proposal, Kevin. I think you did, of like a lot of this work is framing work, right? Of framing what we're doing and
yeah,
like and
I think we can use sort of maybe a lessons learned type thing. Like, okay, this is what worked, what didn't, kind of going forward. It's not like, oh, it's done in September. We're just kind of it's the building blocks. It's kind of what I mean, that's how I envision it. To that point, there was a comment in there about like contracts, and I also responded to that in my update, but I don't know if like, I don't know if we have somebody that we could have look like, I don't feel nearly qualified, or sorry, equal, audience, qualified to do to do any, you know, contract. Like, can we find a template and just have someone take a look? I don't know if that's something we've done.
As far
And
as
it was a good point.
contracts for clients,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually have one. I'll share it with you all. I'll put it in. This is where my openness gets in trouble. I will share a general template of a contract. I will not share the actual client contract because I cannot do that. But
Yeah.
I will
Okay.
share the general template of the contract that we
Yeah,
work.
that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, so that is set, or at least something we have.
So what basically I've done RFPs for the last 2 years with lots of different terms in it and lots of different ideas of what
Hmm.
could be promising. And what I have is what schools are starting to say yes to.
Mhm. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So we can use that as sort of this is what's worked from these schools. Yeah, because I know you've told me in the past we've had some traction or some success with other schools, and
Yeah. Yeah. And so we have a pretty good, I have a pretty good idea because the last 2 schools that looked at it,
yeah.
and by saying yes, they don't actually give us money because they're higher ed and they have a weird procurement thing that takes many months and maybe even years. But but at least they're like, they don't question it anymore with the things that are in it. And but I'll send everybody. I also created a legal repository in the Equalify organization, and I'm just going on GitHub now to repositories, and then I think Equalify Legal, which I currently has all of the contributor agreements and all the Stripe documents of like forming this organization. And they're literally just the documents that Stripe Atlas did. I haven't really even read them. In fact, one of them says confidential information, so I probably should read that before I post it to GitHub. But anyway, they're all those documents are on GitHub. And I'll also put in the templates folder, I'll also put the contract document, the contract template. But I can't, unfortunately, post the client's contracts because they won't like that.
Well, yeah, but I think this gets to, you know, I mean, like, so if Kevin's going to be out, like, you know, pursuing sales, like, obviously going to need kind of contracts ready to sign. And to have contracts ready to sign, we have to know what it is that we're selling as far as like rates and as far as
Oh yeah,
you standardize agreements and like, you know, service agreements and
yes,
you know, if there's pricing tiers and like all of that stuff.
oh
So,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's pretty easy. So basically, what we're selling is up to 10,000 scans a week. Let me see if I can pull up a sample one. No. We're selling up to 10,000 pages scanned per week. And 24-hour support response time. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 5,000, and then the extra 720 a year is 24 hours turnaround.
Yeah, but
Is that right?
I'm just everybody has gone with the 720, so instead of adding it as a separate thing, I'm just saying it's $5,720 for 10,000
Okay.
page scans
A
a week and
Mhm.
24-hour support time, which is
Okay.
24-hour support time is on me. Like I'm completely putting that on my shoulders. Um, and the 10,000 page scans, yeah, we'll just have to work towards that number.
Okay. I had something and I forgot. So if I remember, I'll say it.
Cool. Cool. All right, Kevin. Well, I will put on my list to pay you.
Okay. And then I responded to your question about, it's a little unrelated, but I did respond to your question about budget for ALMY.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Awesome.
Oh, I bombarded you basically this morning. So
I love being bombarded. Nothing makes me more giddy when my Slack is full of little numbers.
yeah, Slack and GitHub. So yeah,
Okay,
I'm excited. And then yeah, oh, I think the other big thing too, I'm like I'm at 5 minutes time, but I think it would also be good to also mentioned in my reply about visual just design in general and like branding. I think that's definitely something that somebody mentioned on the ticket before on the issue. And so I think that would be good to like I'll just fully own that it's not an area that I work a lot with, but I'm definitely able to, I want to rally everyone together and have those conversations. I'm just not going to be drawing and designing. But I do think
you
it's
should
something
design.
we have to discuss. Hmm?
You should design it. I think it should be designed exclusively by you.
In terms of visual,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open to it.
But we'll
I'm
figure
open
out
to
how
it.
to do that later.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool, Kevin. Well, thank you so much. I know you got a jet, and I'm really, really excited about getting this. I'm glad you didn't think my crazy 4 a.m. things were off-putting.
No. No. What was the group? Was that the group text? Because I saw that when I got back in cell range yesterday and I was confused. Or was that something else?
Oh yeah, why did I send that text message? Oh yeah,
There was like,
I posted something on LinkedIn that I was thinking about you. That was
okay,
separate, but yes.
got it. I'll have to read it.
Okay,
Sweet.
cool.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all. If there's any other questions, do we want to anything
I think
now?
we can do, I mean, people will comment async if there's anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
They-
All right. Well, cheers and thank you all and looking forward to it.
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
See ya. Thank you.
So next up is Trey, I believe, with monitor and scan. And yeah, and you might have seen my comments, Trey. We're hitting that 100,000 mark on and so we have to like, oh, we can do anything we want, but I would prefer if we had budgets for these for build out and maintenance. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to think about, because like with the scan feels like it's largely at least like at like kind of a V1. So I think, I guess on this call, if there, anybody knew of any, or like if you had any like kind of wish list sort of stuff of things that need to get built out, or even like if we needed to be able to scale to a certain amount and be able to benchmark that, that would be good to know. That's the scan side, and then on the monitor side, I'm gonna just have to, I think, probably come up with my own benchmarks as far as aiming to hit. As far as development goes, I went ahead and put in the queue system, and it's this week. I'm just going to be testing, kind of running that in Node cron and then scaling up. And I guess I'll probably move to the a cloud instance this week. So we should have a public API that people can start throwing stuff at.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts with the scanner is like just faster and more reliable is always the the constant maintenance. But as far as like we do need to make sure that we can guarantee 10,000 page scans per client per week. So I don't even know how to go about.
Well, I mean, I think it's a question more with that. Like, I mean, we could handle. You'd seen what it can take. Like, I think it might be worthwhile looking into like automatic scaling, as far as like spinning up new workers and doing that kind of programmatically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because like right now, I mean, it could handle, if it's 3 clients with 10,000 pages each once a week, it could handle, that by a factor of, it could handle that easily. It's more a question of how long it takes.
yeah. Which is fine because they're not, everybody's happy with it so far. But I'm probably the least happy with the speed, but I'm actually really, really happy. Every client or potential client that I've shown it to has been pretty thrilled with it because their alternative is like Site Improve or other things that have been like amazingly slow compared to it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it seems like we're probably faster than most of the available commercial options, but that doesn't mean we can't. I mean, I think obviously the dream would be to like have something that would be able to scale efficiently such that somebody could get in there, or that you could have 10 users or 50 users or whatever, each of them with 10,000 sites, and they'd be able to put it in there and then get back like, near instantaneous or like in 10 or 15 minute kind of like go get a cup of coffee kind of speed.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think is like, there's not any reason that it's not like sort of theoretically possible. It's, again, I think it's going to get into spinning up new worker instances and how long that takes. And like also the billing kind of aspect attached to that. So, and it may involve not, I think it's probably easier to spin up, like programmatically spin up like AWS boxes and stuff as opposed to DigitalOcean. So that might be something to look into. Just like a different cloud platform. But I don't know. I haven't really looked into it a ton as far as being able to kind of ramp up on its own, which
Yeah.
does seem like kind of the next big milestone.
I'd be happy to help out if you want to get some basic kind of like maybe infrastructure set up, like some kind of CDK script that works for this.
Yeah, I mean, let me. I guess Blake, and this is a question for you. I mean, I guess I should probably. Do you want me to focus on the stuff with scan right now, or on the monitor stuff?
I would say the monitor stuff, and then scan is more of when there's a problem. We like, yes, the monitor stuff, but priority is scan if there becomes a problem with scan, which there hasn't been. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't know. I can like in between times, I can also try to figure out, or do some testing and digging around and looking at a workable method to, again, like sort of programmatically spin up workers for scan, so that hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's a priority right now because we're really foreseeably in the next 3 months going to have 3 clients. And for those 3 clients, we don't really need to automate everything yet.
Word.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. But after that, for sure. Cool. But if you could just like give me a general number, it could be either an estimate or something that we just pay you every month so that I have that in the budget.
Yeah.
That would be good. So this ticket is open 34, and whenever you want to just drop it in there, that would help me.
Cool.
And same thing with the monitor, but the monitor is going to be more of like a build out and maintenance. So, I would say like what Chris and Adonis have done, it would be really helpful to have just kind of like, starting now, you know, I'll pay you hourly for the June work you've done but today's kind of the first day in June, but it would be great if we could just have it within that same system of like, here's the cost, you know, for the rest of the build out of monitor, and here's a maintenance for 2 months after that or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else with the monitor scan tray that you wanted to discuss?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess, like I said, I should have, like, we'll have like an actual live instance up probably sometime this week.
Great.
So it is moving towards, having it need to be able to hook into the API side.
Great.
So I'll probably be, reaching out, Chris, and I guess maybe Adonis as well, like about what we're gonna actually do with this thing. And I may actually like to like put together like some simple like sort of unstyled components, just as like sort of example, that hook into the API, and then can be integrated with a larger app when we would need to.
Sweet. That's great. Awesome. Okay. API updates, Chris?
Yes, not a whole lot in the past week. I did briefly talk with Adonis about the staging and the production environments. I need to set up a script that kind of migrates the database schema from staging to production, because right now we're using staging as our kind of like target environment, but we want to be able to easily migrate all changes to tables, to permissions, to schema in general, without me manually doing it, which is what I'm doing right now. So I'm looking into that so that we could easily just roll out a big update from one environment to the next. So that's been kind of my, I guess, big focus.
Sweet. And the URL staging.equalify.dev still that we're kind of using.
Say it again.
The URL is what I have on screen, staging.equalify.dev.
Yes, that is currently the one that we're using, and that's the one that has the latest improvements.
Cool. Great. Okay. Oh, I already got it. Great. Awesome. Cool. Well, let me know if there's anything we can do with that. Excited to see it take shape. We're still at paying Amazon $0, so that's great.
Hopefully we keep it there.
Adonis, I saw a ton of amazing updates. Anything to report from you?
Well, basically what I did was clean up a bit the repo, and some of the API calls that we were making. I separated into services now, since we're no longer using the GraphQL endpoint. And I also did a push to optimize, or at least have some better SEO for Equalify.
Sweet.
Yeah, other than that, I'm currently working on resolving the issue that Kevin had posted. And yeah, I think
Cool.
that's all I have for it right now.
And are you so it's all being pushed to this staging.equalify.dev, so I can log in here. Is it automatically pushed? Is that, or do you have like a sense?
What do you mean?
Oh, is are you pushing from basically is everything in main on the staging.equalify.dev?
Yes.
Okay.
So like Chris said, I didn't know that we had a staging branch. So everything I was pushing or making the PRs was in the main branch. So when I found out about the staging, I had to merge the main with the staging
Got it.
branch. But it should be up to date.
Cool. One thing I just noticed is I get this thing that says verification code, please enter the verification code sent to blake@booth.org. And then I got my email is a confirm registration by clicking here without a verification code. I see it's in here.
Uh,
Did
yeah,
it?
yeah,
just-
that should be displaying the pure code. Let me take a look at what's going on there.
Yeah. Looks like I just
Yeah, I
did.
think that's in AWS that's happening incognito.
Here, let me see what's happening. Equalify API. Send code.
I mean, I will say I think this brings up a good point that I know we've done some accessibility testing on this, but I do think we should schedule like some like everybody try to break it stuff
Mhm.
before we go live.
Yeah. Do we have, I was kind of thinking to not, I was
Right.
kind of holding off to do that till July, but do you all want us to be, Adonis and Chris want us to be testing staging.equalify.app as we see pushes coming in?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, just granted that there'll probably be some hiccups, so but I think it's good. Blake, I tested out the sign up and I got the verification code instead of the link, which I found interesting.
Interesting. Okay, let me try to resend it. Let's see what happens.
Here, I think the resend code, oh, that's why, because the resend code sends a different, because when I sign up, it works, but the resend code sends the link instead. So let me update that right now. So verify user attribute, confirm, custom message sign up, verification code, custom message,
So the current flow
resend
that
code.
you just saw was that Blake probably created his account but didn't verify the email. When that
Yeah,
happens to another
that's
flow.
definitely
Yeah.
so I just deployed a change, Blake. Give it 5 seconds and I'll tell you when to click resend code and it should hopefully get you the right code. All right, click resend code. Okay, hopefully this one's an actual code.
Yay. All right.
There we
Perfect.
go. There we go.
Uh,
Okay, now current status is confirmed. So what's funny is I don't think we've tested this before. You're trying to log in with a reset password or log in passwordless. I'm not sure what the flow is right now.
I think I'm just let's see. I tried to log in. Let's see where the flow is. Oh, now I'm logged in. Interesting.
Maybe click on the dash. Try logging in. You have your email and password.
Hey, there it is. Whatever happened. It's okay.
Yeah. Not exactly sure what happened, but I think this looks right to me.
Cool. Yeah, I also signed up I think my user a while ago, so there might have been weird caught in some kind of strange thing in between deploys or something.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then so I guess we can just be, if you're all right with me, just like as I see new things coming in, testing, look at this beautiful report, testing stuff, and then little things like that, I'll just create issue tickets around. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that's fine. And then I guess Adonis and I would, say whether or not something was on our radar.
Yeah,
It wasn't, it'd be helpful.
cool.
Yeah. I guess just for a heads up, so that we don't get tickets of things that we know are not created yet.
Yeah,
So the reports, I wouldn't test that part because all of that is mock data.
okay,
And we don't have um well, at least I don't have that update there for like,
okay, gotcha.
creating reports and all that. I spoke with Chris about implementing the most, I think it's like the most common issue and then the active issues.
Yeah,
So he's working on implementing that into the results as well.
great. Okay. Yeah, I'll just kind of look at what the commit messages are too and see. And I'm not going to do any major testing. I think in July is when we'll like sit down and go through everything. But I won't try to like break things yet.
Got it.
Cool.
Are we going to? I can't remember. Is the kind of like React UX redesign going to be part of V1, or is it going to be part of not V1?
The redesign, the super redesign isn't. But
Okay.
is that right? That's what you understand too, Adonis, that we're basically getting this solid by July, and then also thinking about like the big redesign later as we do it. Is that kind of what
Um,
you're thinking?
so I was confused on that part.
Okay.
I can tell you right now, I started doing some of the design.
Yeah.
But if you want it for July, I'll make sure it will be ready by July.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't, yeah, I don't think the total redesign needs to be by July. I mean, what we absolutely need by July is basically just this like these systems functional. But as far as like a redesign aspect, like sure we can incorporate. I'm totally okay to incorporate things that you think we need to incorporate. But we don't necessarily have to have that by July.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I mean, I think that the big redesign is going to happen as we start to see users use this and test it and see what's working, what isn't. And also as you're inspired, Adonis, by things like feel free to design and redesign whatever you want. But the thing that we actually need to deliver by July is this dashboard having the same functionality pretty much as what we have with Equalify right now on our managed dashboard. So we basically just need to have like the same functionality that we have here. We can, you know, if there are better ways to do things or organize things, you can totally do that. But we just need to make sure we're not losing any functionality from what we had, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I guess one last question I should ask is, if you go into the my account page,
Yeah.
there's something about active account that I saw on the previous version. So what exactly do
We
we
can
do?
we can get rid of that. It was the way that we did a database structure. We don't have to think about that right now. You can actually just totally get rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was we basically flipped from account to account based off of different databases they use. Eventually, we will have to think about like how an account can run multiple accounts, but we don't have to think about that right now. So you can just get rid of it. Like they're definitely not before September. We're gonna have to think about that. So just get rid of this whole active account thing.
Okay, sounds good.
One thing I'd throw out too, I think I looked real quick at the front end code base, and I saw that there was some tracking stuff going on, and I think well, as we build up to V1, Adonis, one thing that might make sense would be, because I'm not sure exactly what all is getting tracked right now, but to sort of gather information, if you think of anything data to gather on like user interaction stuff to inform that redesign, I think that would make sense to fold into V1. As far as just like, I'm talking about like, okay, so what tabs do people spend the most time on? What features are being used really often, which are being used really not often? Stuff like that would be good data to have. I think
Yeah.
for you going forward like when you do the redesign.
Yeah. I'm planning to add analytics, and the heat maps to see where users are currently, interacting most with. I think I added that in the ticket or the proposal I
Yeah.
created. So yeah, I should be implementing that as soon as I finish resolving the issue that Kevin posted. And yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm excited about all this stuff. I think we're making good headway. And I'll look forward to more updates. Are there any things, Chris or Adonis, that you're going to be particularly focused on this week?
I think today I should have a PR for the fixes on Kevin's issue, and then probably Wednesday I will start working on the analytics. Tomorrow I don't think I will be able to work on
Okay,
anything.
cool. And implementing analytics.
Yeah.
And then Chris, was there anything with the API that is still, I mean, I think getting the results from the API is pretty clutch. How's that going?
Sorry, I missed that.
So is there anything this week that you're particularly focused on? Like I think we talked about last week about like finalizing the results piece, but
Yes. So I would say definitely the results is a big focus of mine, to get at least an endpoint that Adonis can start pulling and narrowing in on. So I expect to have that ready for testing this week.
cool. Great. All right, cool. And then Trey, just the monitor piece, and then if you don't mind getting the two proposals for maintenance of the scan and build out and maintenance of their monitor, that would be helpful. Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. And yeah, hit me up if you need anything. If not, I'll see you all next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It's cool. See ya.
Bye.